YCS Irrelevant has come to a close, and we're only making this video as a little time capsule and a showcase for the people out there that want to see deck list. Alright, to the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content before you're like, Subterror, 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 Subterror. The deck list has not been shared anywhere as of making this video. So if you want to see like Runic Labyrinth, Subterror, I don't have that info. I just know that they topped. So we're here to analyze the breakdown, see how it goes, talk about some of the meta decks. You get a nice little time capsule video handed to you, and you can look back at this in 4 years when you want to play infinite Tier Elements mirror matches. Got it? Okay. So top 64 breakdown out of this YCS. 52% Tier Elements. Yeah, and to answer the question, was this played on old list? Like the 300 comments I read just bumbling up as they saw multiple Keldos and Medoras on the field for this. No, it was old format. And it amazes me that people, they look at, the state things are in, they're looking at multiple things. There's Kit Gallos on the field. Is this new format? Like, yeah, said every comment in the entire thing. I don't know if people are trolling or they're just... But, alright, so leading was Tier Elements. Kashtira had a 30% conversion rate for Top Cut, did not have a high representation. I think Sprite had a high representation for the participation, but I don't really care too much about that. Sprite had 8% left in Top 64 for your conversion. I think that was 5. So it was 33 tier, 19 Kashtira, 5 Sprite. You had 3 Flonderies players. 3 took to the sky for one last showcasing of Stormwinds and Friends. You know what? That's fine. I still think that the deck will be around. Now we also had 2 Labyrinth. In the vastness of this format, considering everything that you had to kind of sit through for this event, I'm shocked that Labyrinth got a showcase here. And I'll say it, that's nice to see. I don't know how well its turnover was. I don't know how any of them did, but to my understanding, congratulations to Labyrinth. You actually made it in. We also had a Runic player manage to get in. I'm very happy to see that. Hopefully the list will be made public, or somebody will give some sort of comment on that. That'd be really nice to see. I'd like to see some of the ratios that they're trying to do here. The deck doesn't have a very fun matchup against Kashtira, but it's not impossible. And then we had the legendary Subterror player step out into the room and challenge everybody and say, Subterror's still here. Now, I've heard multiple people that were like, hey, I've been testing Subterror, this format, the deck's pretty cool. Well, that's cool. I don't remember, seeing results, but you know what? That's okay. I have a feeling it's going to be obviously Dark Dragoon Turbo, but it's kind of what we're looking at here for your top 64 breakdown. Are you genuinely shocked? No, you shouldn't be. I'm gonna be honest with you. I figured Tier would have a much more leading position, but Rise Heart and people wanting to play the new format, it kind of makes sense that the Walking Talking Macro Cosmo deck would kind of overtake a majority of everything else you've seen. Now, Tier Elements did end up winning this event. I believe it was a Tier versus Tier final. I do know that Kashtira climbed its way up into the top cut, and there was a really cool teched out Sprite deck. And I will say, to everybody that was hating on Gravekeeper's Inscription, being like, oh my gosh, you're never going to play the card. The card made top 8 out of this event, all right? The card did its purpose. Sprite players main decked that crap in order to play this format, all right? You think that they weren't going to, but they did. They actually broke the mold and thought process. It's so many players were like, no, the card's not going to see play. Top 8 of the YCS. Let's pass on over for deck list. Alright, the first deck list out of Irrelevant YCS is going to be, yeah, I wish I too could play Instant Fusion and make Kit Gallos in my deck. Yeah, it is actually that good at the end of the day. I do like some of these ratios. I do like how this build was definitely way, and I mean way more tacked out here to handle a lot of the metagame. Like, awesome. And of course, down here, you have the inscriptions, and this will be the only time that you'll see this deck actually getting the chance to unload the Scythe Walk. Actually, is kind of a good idea, or was a good idea to really consider playing this in here, because this gives this deck like an extra little line of defense that you might not normally have had. Obviously, you know, being able to thrust into a Sanctum or a Dimensional Barrier is amazing. Like, there's not really much you can do about that, but that's good enough to put you into a winning position at the end of the day. So one of the more unique lists out of this event, doesn't really give much of an inspiration or thought process going forward, but okay. Now this should open up some ideas for what you could potentially see for new format here. Now, this list is maximizing on thrusting. Holy crap. Just thrust on into an evenly match and you are off to the races. Now, this build did not take advantage of playing, you know, the Tier Elements Kashtira. I guess that this was just good. This should be good enough. You can tell that this build was a lot more hand-trapped out of its mind in order to kind of handle a lot of the already established metagame. And then you have the Nightmare Corruptor Iblis down here. You can just hand these on over to your opponent and watch your opponent not really know what to do. It is kind of hilarious at the end of the day, just watching, you know, something like this be able to resolve, especially as we go forward here. Yeah, good stuff. Man, we don't even play the Lingaribo. Technically, if this deck got Nightmare Corruptor Iblis, it would know what to do. We really have not reached the point of players knowing how to handle this just yet. Next up was the top 8 list for Sprite. Now, this is what I was talking about. This build was maximized to handle things. All right, yeah, sure, Sprite Elf's dead, sure. Yeah. This is for the time capsule video, all right? So yeah, Gravekeeper's Inscriptions, and you did have the Book of Eclipses in here. And we were main decking the End of Anubis. This deck was very anti-meta based. Its entire game plan was it wanted to sit down and it wanted to grind against as much competition as it could in order to play the game. And that's what you generally want to try to do with Sprite. I mean, obviously setting up some like locks against your opponent is fine, but like this build doesn't even play the Totally Awesome. Didn't need it. It just went with the aspect ratio of trying to be an anti-meta monster. You know, hello, being able to make these take something your opponent was doing. Yeah, Sprite actually converted itself into an anti-meta menace for this event. So good stuff. Very happy to see this. Next up was Tier Elements. So this is going to be one of your showcases of what this deck actually looks like in full power. Yeah. Double Kelbeck, your triple Keldo, and your triple Modora. We're down to 1 Scream, and then you're maximizing 10 Bysteals. Yeah, that's how bad things were heading, all right, until the ban list happened. They literally had to play 10 Bysteals in order to get the chance to play this. And then, of course, Kashtira anti-cards here. You have some anti-time measurements, and then, you know, things get even more simple here with the talents and the thrusting. Yeah. Would this have been fun to play against going forward? No, absolutely not. Seeing this deck at its 100% final form is disgusting. It truly is. And kudos to Konami for cleaning this up for us. I particularly didn't want to deal with this. Also, the fact this stupid deck gets the ability to make Soldier of Chaos in indestructible mode. Oh, come on. Next up is, oh boy, we're going to be looking at a lot of these now, aren't we? Now, this build just went with the 1 Kelbeck, with the triple Keldo and the triple Mudora. At this point, the random RNG milling didn't even feel like it mattered. All right, like, you would just kind of cut everything off and just not even worry about it. Now, something I found interesting down here was we're actually playing the Destructive Daruma cannon. I kind of was seeing this starting to show up a little bit because this is an issue. All right, you would probably have to bring in the Karma Cannon to be able to get something like this off of the field, or, you know, anything else that your opponent would set up that would be like a pseudo's tower monster. You could just go ahead and Destructive Daruma Cannon it off the field, and you're essentially good to go. Like I said, I like the fact that this became such an intricate part of some of these deck builds that, you know, hey, who would have guessed, you know, a big Kashtira Tier Elements monster that is here to ruin the opponent's day, aka convert into something even stronger. Yep. And then the last list here. Now, this build did not play the Blackluster Soldier, but this did end its way into second place here. We did end up playing the Win Agito. We were maximizing on triple Kelbeck or triple Keldo, into triple Mudora. So this deck did want to play some of the random RNG millers, and then we were on 7 buy steals in the main. It's not like you didn't side up to 11 or anything if you needed them. And then, of course, Book of Eclipses in order to kind of counteract a lot of the meta. But I mean, for everything that was tier elements out of this meta, I bid you adieu to the end of this format. I think a nice shift is very welcome, and I think that a lot of the community will be very happy to see. So this is sayonara to old format. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons, thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.